All right, so we just decided to see if Lonnie could climb the hill. I don't know which way you can go because that log's down right there. Are you gonna go around the long way?
Probably.
You gonna see how fast you can go down the trails without killing yourself? The best thing, remember, if you see bumps, stand up on the foot pegs and use your legs.
Yeah, the only thing is how far forward they are, but you can still do it. It's fine.
How dare you? You want to keep your hat with you just in case you see some ladies in the woods? You pull the helmet off, take a break real quick. I'll hit them. Road hog.
See you in a bit. Ooh, it feels weird with all that length behind you. Oh yeah. Seems like it's flooded. It's dumping gas out there. Like 4. Yeah, it's nearly unrideable now.
Yeah.
I think
oh, it's just poured gas. I mean, it's that fuel pump for sure. Kicks in. So to fix our fuel problem, we have this T right here. This T is going in between the pulse pump and the carburetor. And that's going to eliminate the pressure we have. So it's going to allow that carb needle and seat to shut off the amount of fuel because we're restricting the amount of fuel that we have. So we got it teed off. This is the output of the pulse pump. We got it teed, and we're going to go back to about right here. We're going to put the shut off valve in line. We have no hose clamps on none of this because my daddy always said he didn't believe in them, but he also didn't believe in being a good dad or marriage. I'm kidding, Dad. We about ate a hole in our battery too because we forgot to put a hole down. That would have sucked. Hand me 2 zip tie, boys. So we're gonna have this shut off here, so that would give you full fuel pressure. That would give you a lot less. I don't know the exact ratio, but opening it up all the way is going to shut down a ton of fuel pressure. So we're going to do it halfway and have Lonnie ride it just like he did and see if we have any problems, issues with it. And if he does, he can just tune it. Basically, if he's still seeing it flooding, he can just open it up more. So we're gonna go halfway.
So more would go towards the
more is in line. Would
Yeah.
let more fuel flow through this valve.
to the tank, letting less get to the carb
Yes, ma'am.
carburetor.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna cut this line about right here. And now I have to drill a return
You want me to get the
in the
shot
fuel
back?
tank.
Try to get as much as possible.
We should, but no. Cool. We have an 1/8" MPT tap. Got our handy dandy tap sockets. It should tap pretty easy. Okay. So that is tapped. It's still dripping gas out of that carb. You see that? We've dealt with this problem before. A lot of smaller carbs can't handle fuel pressure. Larger ones like snowmobile carbs and stuff can, because of course the snowmobiles have fuel pumps.
Boom.
Boom. Bob is your uncle.
Let's put one of those clampy things on it.
I don't have none. All right, so I was looking over the video and I noticed that I didn't really go into depth of why we're doing this little bypass thing and what the problem was. So I have a carb and a pulse pump laid out on the workbench. And I'm going to walk you through why we're doing this, what the problem was, and hopefully this can help somebody out there that's having this problem. So here we have a pulse fuel pump from Go Power Sports. This is, I think they call it a round fuel pump, but this is a pulse fuel pump. So basically on V-twins and stuff, where on like lawn mowers, where your gas tank is located lower than your input of your carb, so the output of the gas tank is at a lower point on the mower than the carburetor is, you have to have, of course, a pulse pump to push that gas up there. This runs off vacuum off the engine, so I always run this port right here to the intake side of the engine, because that is always sucking, where if you run it off the valve cover, it's blowing, and it can blow oil in this and get your diaphragm all gummed up inside of it. So I always put a barb on the intake neck, like you see me do on this engine, so it's always just sucking and it's pumping that diaphragm inside there every time the valve of the intake valve opens. So on these pulse pumps, you have an input and an output. Of course, this comes from the fuel tank and this goes to the carburetor. Well, I don't know how many PSIs of fuel pressure these put out. It's not much, but these carburetors aren't designed for any fuel pressure. They're made to be gravity fed. So because they're gravity fed, the seat, that copper piece under this float, so right there, has a larger hole to allow more fuel to easily flow down into the bowl, because of it being gravity fed. On the bigger carbs you can buy, and this one you can too, you can see it's removable with a Phillips head screw, so you can pull this seat out and buy a new needle and seat that is smaller, like the seat is smaller, so you can have fuel pressure and it won't overflow the bowl. So basically this is putting out too much pressure for that larger needle and seat, so it's overpowering the needle and seat and flooding the carb, and it's pushing fuel out the overflow and it's flooding out the carb. That's what problem we was having on that mini bike. So since we did not have a new needle and seat for this, for that carb, this is a 24 millimeter from Go Power Sports. This is my favorite carburetor, and I didn't want to use one on that tandem because it don't really need to make all the horsepower in the world, so we used the VM22, which is a smaller, cheaper version of this. But this is the best carb to use on a 212, hands down. I love these things. And like I said, links will be in the description for all this stuff. So to overcome that larger needle and seat that's made for gravity fed, all we're doing is taking this output line that would run to the carburetor, and we're putting that T in the center of it and running it back to the fuel tank with a shutoff valve, so we can basically regulate the fuel pressure coming off this pulse pump. So basically, the more you open that shutoff valve, the less pressure that's going to this carburetor. Because when we would run that tandem mini bike, it runs perfect wide open throttle because it's pushing a lot of that fuel out the overflow on this carburetor. But when we go down to an idle or something, or come to a stop and then try to take off again, all that fuel was going somewhere from that pulse pump pumping all that fluid in, or all that fuel in high RPMs, so it flooded out the carb. So now that we have that valve on there, we can open it up more or less depending on what we see the case may be when riding it, and we can regulate the fuel pressure and stop that. And that's what you're going to see happens. It completely fixes the problem. So just to note, if you're running these smaller carbs on mini bikes and stuff, these VM22s, this VM24, it's good to know you may have to do that. So back to the video. Now we think we got it. So we zip tied the battery down.
Now it's locked in place.
Now it's locked in place.
Alright, sounds better.
Remember, it's half shut off. So do a little test run, and then, like I said, you can adjust it accordingly.
Way better. It's getting a little bit, but definitely a lot better. So, let me open it up a little bit more. Feels a lot better. It's still spitting a little bit. I got it all the way open though. It's definitely a lot better. There we go. Take it into the woods. Oh, that's not work.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is me standing straight. So you can tell how low that bottom is. Everybody that sees this hill in person will tell you it's a million times worse in person. So it seems like Lonnie's doing good.
Like a champ.
The valve is completely open. Okay, I pretty it is out in these daggone Tennessee woods, baby. Woo! But you can see, like, if I'm looking straight ahead, that's how far that is down. It's crazy. So the old tandem mini bike is way better than it ever was with that big block. So big block had ton of torque and power, but it was almost too much for what this is meant to be, is just a cruiser. It was almost just too much, you know, for, you know, an older couple or a dad riding his kid around. And this thing is still ton of power and way lighter. Feels much better. We do have this Coleman cooler here. We just use bungee cords to hold it down, and it never has went anywheres. This has 2 fishing rods in it, and then we have a Pelican case that goes on the back that would hold fishing rods and stuff. We also used to have a grill that went back here, 2 chairs and a tent, but somehow that all got lost in the move. But and then you could hold a tank of propane right there to run the grill that we bought. So that holds a Coleman cylinder perfect inside of it. All the links to all these parts are located in the video's description. Everything we use on this engine, all these items are down below. Also, we never showed this, but when you turn this switch on, of course you have a voltage gauge. Then you have headlights, which this lights up with the headlights. And you have a little 6-inch light bar. So guys, make sure to check out those links in the video description. Everything we used, even the pulse pump and that VM 22 and the 24mm carb, will be located down in the video's description. Big shout out to Go Power Sports. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know if you want to see us do anything with this tandem mini bike. It always stays under a tarp, and we hate to see it go to waste, but we will be getting rid of this. This is one of those vehicles that will be going away because we built it more of a showpiece, I guess. But let us know if you want us to do anything stupid with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the content. We love you, and God bless.